Hello and welcome to Not Gambling Advice, the baseball and football betting stream on the Just Baseball Network. What's today? Thursday, September 28th. How about delivering you some MLB and NFL winners? Well, I don't have any MLB picks today, but we have a loaded show. We're going to bring DeGen on in a couple of minutes. He likes to say that he is stuffing me in a locker part 2. I don't like that. It's kind of mean. It's kind of true, though, because he did stuff me in a locker when I had the Bucks. He had the Eagles. Well, he didn't even bet it because he was scared. And the classic DeGen line is, well, I see both sides. I'm not getting involved in this game. I have futures on one side. I have futures on the other. How about pick a game? How about pick a winner? So him and I are going to have some back and forth for the first 25-ish minutes of the show. Then Gino from Bet Openly, who was on the completely other side of my picks. Him and I are going to go back and forth. Then we have Cali Wager, Mid-Major Matt, and Colby Olson. Colby's got some not only plays for tonight and Thursday night football, but also his Sunday plays. And then from about 5:40 to 6:10, you MLB people are getting your fix. Because I'm going to go over all the games, give you all my leans, because as you guys know, taking a slight step back from betting on baseball, as I'm sure you guys have all seen, it's been a little wonky. Right? We got extra innings games going over when Krabs, if you were watching that stream, he had the under. That was a good play by Krabs. A lot of shit's happening right now, but I can give you my leans. I can give you analysis, and then it's up to you if you want to place the bet or not. But I know I got 2 plays for Thursday night football. I got 2 props, and we ain't usually in this part of the show, we'll recap, but there's nothing to recap. But what I will say is, if I sweep the board, I hit my spread pick on Thursday Night Football, the total, and my 2 props, I'm sending $50 to 2 people who like the post, tap into my Twitter. But at the same time, I see you all watching on Twitter. I see it right here. We got 50 of you watching on Twitter. Come into the Twitch stream because I won't know you. You want free money? If I sweep, head on over to Twitch. All right, ladies and gents. No producer Colby today. We got producer Cohen back on the mic. We got producer Cohen back on the mic. No more producer Colby. Producer Colby doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Respectfully. Producer Cohen's back. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the degenerate.
That was very funny. And yes, of course, just so everybody is aware, the stuff in a locker is completely a joke. I actually think it's a compliment.
I take it very seriously.
Well, you're the smart guy in this scenario, and I'm like the dumb jock in like an 80s, high school movie. But yeah, I guess I got 1-0. But also at the same time, you're right. You said it best. I'm still soft. I didn't have a side, didn't have a total. I did think that you would go 1-1, and spoiler alert, I kind of think the same happens tonight, but in a different fashion.
So let's talk about it. So, Producer Cohen, if you could flash my 2 picks, and then I'll go over the props a little bit later. I'm sure DeGen and I are going to talk about the game, and then I'm sure he's got a couple of props, and then we'll move on to Gino. But for the first 25 minutes, DeGen and I are going to go head-to-head. So here's how I came to the Lions, and I came to the under. So, DeGen, I don't know if you know this. I think I've told you this before, but what I do, like normally on Monday, is I put a piece of paper next to all the spreads and I say, what do I think the line should be? And this game, I thought, well, I power rate the Lions above the Packers, even in a home field advantage. On a neutral, I would give the Lions a 4-point edge here. So I would make them 2.5 in this spot. And I saw 1.5, and I was like, wait a minute. Am I stepping into it? Then what I did is I looked at, all right, where's the public, right? We'll look at some betting splits. Let's just see if, something's being hammered. I saw Lions on that 1.5. And then I looked deeper in, and I was like, well, the look ahead was 1.5. Then after the Packers came back against the Saints, that line flipped from plus 1.5. Then it got steamed back up. So all of that early money that I was looking at on the betting splits basically flipped the line from plus 1.5 to the Lions minus 1.5. So I'm like, okay, I think a lot of that money is sharper money, or at least the books respected that enough to flip them from a dog to a favorite. Then I was like, okay, let me look into a little bit more. And then I realized, remember that trend that I was talking to you about?
Mm-hmm.
You're down by 9 at half. You come back to win the game. Those teams are 38% against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, that tells me to fade the Packers. So I look into both sides because there's so many trends in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got home divisional dogs. You got Jared Goff, 10-2 versus NFC North opponents. He's won 3 straight against the Packers. So I'm like, all right, there's so many trends here. But the one trend that I have relied upon that is already 2-0 this season is that trend. And I think it's especially more prevalent when you're in Thursday night football. Because why I think that trend works so much, remember, down by 9 at half, then you battle back, is you exert a lot of energy in order to come back, and then you're on a short week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I look deeper into the game, and I'm like, all right, so the Packers, their defense is pretty highly rated at this point, as is the Lions. And offensively, the Packers, they rank 8th in EPA per play, but 21st in success rate. That's kind of like when I talk about baseball stats, like regressing to the mean,
Mm-hmm.
WOBA versus ex-WOBA, a lot of fancy numbers. And I'm like, okay, I think the Packers offense is going to regress here, especially against a Dan Campbell-led defense that I think is going to be up for this game. So I kept trying to find things for the Packers that I liked, but I couldn't find much. And then you look at the injury report. All right, both teams are top 10 in pressure rate. Whose offensive line is more banged up? The Packers. Now they're getting back a couple of skill positions, whether that be Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, but they're still not 100%. Also, Jair Alexander might not play too. There was so much uncertainty with the Packers, and I felt that the only reason to take the Packers was you're fading those betting splits, and you think the Packers are better. I didn't think so. And then what eventually led me to the under was I do like both defenses. Both offensive lines are pretty banged up. You have David Montgomery back, so I assume the Lions are going to run the ball. You have a Jared Goff-led Lions offense who's only averaging 7 yards through the air. I think it's going to be a lot of short dump-offs. And so I came to the final score, 24-21 Lions, which would make me under 46 and Lions minus 1.5. What do you think?
I swear on my dog, that is the exact same prediction I had for this game and the score. But I will tell you, I think that you're right with the Lions. I have a bad feeling about the under in this game. But let's start with the side real quick. So again, one thing we talked about last time I was on is like every game is different, but there's also always so many things you can factor into your handicapping. And I think there's narratives, there's splits, there's logic, right? And so you I think sometimes like one thing is standing out more so than the others. And that's what I like to focus on. And, the Bucks Eagles, I think it was more so narratives. It was like, I think that's where you were wrong in that sense of like the Eagles aren't the Super Bowl 3-0 team. People are thinking they're struggling. Jalen Hurts looked like himself, and Baker's got hype and 2-0. And so that 6-0 that looks like value, I actually think it was respect for the Eagles. Well, I don't really think there's many narratives here. There's a little bit of the revenge, I guess, for the Packers. I'm not really hearing it so much. You look at the splits. I guess I could believe that more people would probably be taking the Lions. I mean, you got to remember their win total was 9.5. The Packers 7.5. They've got Jared Goff. I think he's coming into his 4th year. He's obviously got that good record against the Packers and the division opponents, experience. Then you've got Jordan Love making his first start. So his first year as a starter. So that all kind of makes sense. But I think that the Packers I think that the Lions aren't quite as public as the splits make them out to be. And that's why it wouldn't scare me off by any means, again, as like a contrarian-minded bettor. And I think the reason being is because the Packers are getting a lot of good news with Christian Watson and Aaron Jones coming back tonight. I think Aaron Jones is honestly he's got potential. And Mid-Major Matt kind of talked me into this. The Packers are my largest investment this season, 3 units on their over 7.5 win total. Jordan Love over passing TDs and Aaron Jones over rushing receiving yards. Mid-Major Matt, who I think is an elite ball knower, I got talked into Aaron Jones. Even I took him a little bit for Offensive Player of the Year, 50-1. This offense runs all around him. I mean, he is in a way like their Christian McCaffrey. And without him, it's a blessing that I think the Packers are 2-1. And they really, I mean, let's be honest, like they could have beaten the Falcons in Atlanta, which is really impressive, even though Desmond Ridder sucks. He doesn't lose at home.
That's the thing is like they could have, but they didn't. And, I had the Falcons money line in that game. And I thought Jordan Love played pretty well. And yes, the Falcons are a different team at home. I would say that is correct too. But then we saw the Lions stomp all over that Falcons team.
Yes,
and
so that's what I was getting
by
at.
stopping the run. And then when I'm looking at, can then Jordan Love beat the Lions? And I'm looking at Jordan Love ranking towards the bottom in a lot of these metrics that I'm looking at. Completion percentage, which is just a standard one, 53%. That is not very good. And the Packers have been very lucky in the turnover department too. I think they only have 1 turnover all season long, while the Lions have 5. And also, when you consider the Packers are 3-0 against the spread, right? You got a 3-0 team against the spread in a primetime game. Are they going to go 4-0 against the spread? They might.
See, I would stop you there. The Packers were -1.5, and they beat the Saints by 1. I think people got burned.
No, the Saints were -1.5.
Well, depending on where you got it.
In the closing line. I'm just looking at where the bets close, the closing line. Yeah, but you're right.
Sure. But again, that's where I come back to is, are bettors really that pleased? Because it hasn't been, they covered that 3, but they also weren't always +3 against the Falcons. I think they were open as a favorite. So I don't think they're really appeasing bettors quite as much as it may seem on the surface if they are 3-0. But yeah, kind of getting back to what you just said, that Falcons game, if you look at it, the Falcons dominated them. And part of the reason I invested in the Packers is I think they have a really good roster, like top to bottom. And I also saw Jordan Love MVP was 33-1. I mean, that was around the same number as Russell Wilson. I kind of thought that was a lot of respect. And I started to realize, like, maybe he doesn't have to do that much. He's got a great offensive line. He's got Aaron Jones. He's got some receivers, Dobbs and Watson, obviously. But they're missing the left side of their offensive line. They've been missing Jones. They've been missing Watson. So I actually think the fact they're 1-1, again, with those injuries is great. But you're right, they could have, but they didn't really deserve to beat the Falcons. Falcons almost put up, 450 yards, almost 30 first downs. They dominated them. And then the Saints, they got lucky because Derek Carr was carving them up.
Yep.
And we saw Derek Carr against Panthers defense, who I think you and I both agree the Panthers defense is pretty solid until they just got decimated by injuries.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But the Packers, I thought the Packers defense was supposed to be pretty good. The Falcons carved them up. And then the Saints, Derek Carr on the road, back-to-back road games. I mean, what was it, 17-0 until Jameis Winston came in?
It's exactly, yep.
And the problem I'm having with the Packers is they're not consistent throughout the game. They put a couple scoring drives together, but against the Falcons, I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact numbers on this, but they had a 24-12 lead. The last 4 possessions in that game, I think they maybe got 1 first down. And that's not good. And Jordan Love, I don't think he's thrown an interception yet this year.
No, 1. I don't know if I think he threw an interception against the Saints. I just know that they have 1 turnover.
He did.
Don't know.
You're right. He did, because I think Behind the Lines was on it. But like you said, I think the Lions, and I don't give the X's and O's advantage to Dan Campbell. I would give that to probably Matt LaFleur. But I'm not even like super high on LaFleur, but I think Dan Campbell doesn't really manage a game entirely well. I think he's a really good motivator, and they've put together a perfect roster for him, and they're buying into him, and they take on his persona, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not invested in the Detroit Lions, but I don't think they're a pretender. I'm not looking to fade them or anything like that. But I don't know. LaFleur, sometimes the teams are just a little bit soft. I mean, but schematically, maybe offensively, I would give him the slight advantage. But I think the Lions, the way they ended the season last year, I can't forget it. And people might say revenge for the Packers. I don't know, man. Revenge involved with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. I would still take a Dan Campbell-led Lions team with Jared Goff. And I'm not even overthinking it with the line. I don't think it's suspect. There's, the home dog, primetime, etc. I think the Lions win this game when it's all said and done. The problem is, like I kind of hinted at, I think there might be some scoring. And I know I've done a lot of talking, so I'll kind of let you have the floor, but I'll explain why after. But do you feel more confident in the Lions or more confident in the under?
Well, it's funny. I personally think that the Packers defense is going to be arguably the most motivated team on the field. We even got some highlights because I think that revenge factor, I don't know if it pertains more to the offense rather than the defense in this spot. So if I'm looking at that, and I'm also looking at a Packers defense that has been pretty solid this year by the numbers, right? When we just look at something simple like EPA per play, they rank 14th in the NFL, but their success rate is a little bit higher. So basically what I'm saying is that this Packers defense projects to be a little bit better moving forward. Mm-hmm. They've also seen the Lions plenty of times. And in the last 3 matchups, right, I think one was with Rodgers. These games tend to go under because you get 2 really motivated defenses on either side. And with the offensive line issues and with both defenses, like Rashawn Gary has been amazing. Aiden Hutchinson has been amazing. Both these defensive lines, like in the trenches, I think both quarterbacks are going to be under duress a lot. And when I look at Jordan Love, how he has a passer rating of 41, one of the worst in the NFL, very similar to Zach Wilson when he's under pressure. With a banged up offensive line, I think the Packers are going to have a real tough time scoring. So I'm giving it 24-21 because I think it's going to be 24-14 going into the fourth quarter, and you got a late touchdown by the Packers when the Lions defense comes really soft. I kind of think the Lions are going to play pretty well. Now, in the first half, I expect it also to go under, but I expect the Packers defense, because I think they'll be pretty tired from exerting all that energy. So I do like the first half under as well, but I couldn't really find a good price on it. Like, it wasn't really at a key number. So then I took 46. And if we're just looking at how the market has reacted, right? Like, I'm starting to see 44.5s in the market.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at the line, like, I would say I'm more confident in the Lions, but based on the market move, the market respects the under more.
Yeah.
So, right, I think step one, like we said, you want to try and beat the market. You get the Lions at 1.5. Now it's at 2.5. I bet the under 46. Now it's at 45 most places, but I'm starting to see 44.5s pop up. So good. Give me my CLV trophy. It doesn't matter. Like, the right side is the winning side, right? But what I will say is both those plays, when they were placed, not by me, by myself, I'm not betting $100,000 and enough to move a market, but those plays have the books respecting whatever money is coming in on both sides.
Absolutely.
And the side that was most respected was the under.
Yep.
So it's like, if you like the over at 46, you're going to, and I hate to be that guy, but you're going to love it at 44.5. I think this is one of those slow ground and pound, both defensive lines getting in the backfield. I think Aaron Jones being back is great. It sounds good, but is he 100%? I don't think so. Dave Montgomery, same thing. I don't know if these guys are 100% on this short week. Now you could say, well, they got a week off last week to rest, but they were pretty questionable coming into this game. It's not like they were a full go. I just don't think either of them are 100%. So we're hearing a lot of good things about offensive players coming back, and yet the line's dropping. So I still really like the under.
I agree. I do think that's interesting. The only thing, I guess, if I'm just trying to make sense of it, is the primetime under trend. So perhaps that could be, again, sharps and pros love their trends. But I do think it's interesting that the move was still 1.5, which is fairly significant with those two guys coming back for the Packers. And so let's talk about the over. This is probably, and what you said, I also agree with too. We're agreeing a lot tonight. I like your Lions pick. I'm not as confident in the under. I actually like the over. If I was going to make a play, it's going to be on the over. But I actually think the first half goes under as well. And I'm going to be looking to play a second half over if I get the opportunity. And if I don't, that's fine. I'll just pass on it. But one thing, actually a couple of things that stood out to me, looking at Jared Goff last year and the year before when he played in Green Bay, he is efficient. His last game, he didn't have any touchdowns or interceptions. He was like 24 of 36 or something. Don't quote me. But what stands out to me that I do remember is in the last 2 games in Lambeau, he's averaging 6.6 yards per completion. They are not asking him to do much. He is throwing it short. It's efficient and it's quick. So the defensive line getting to him, I'm not super worried about. And then if they want to run the ball, I think they can because teams have been able to run the ball. I mean, again, the Falcons carved him up on the ground. So I think we're going to see long, methodical drives, but I don't think we see a lot of stops. And adding into that, Dan Campbell is incredibly aggressive. I think if they are anywhere near the 50 and it's 4th and 1, maybe even 4th and 2, I think they're going to go for it. And that's good or bad, right? Depending on how you look at it.
I think that also depends on game script, right? Like if they're up, I don't know if they're going for it. And because if their defense is playing really well, I don't know if they're going for it. Just a couple things to throw in here from SVP Analytics. I would say an opener of 46 is high. And I agree with him.
Agreed.
Given Packers' other totals are 41, 40, 40 and a half.
And the last 2 games last season between these two, incredibly low scoring.
Not incredibly. There was some like 23-20. It was around like 43.
20-16 and 15-9 last year between these two.
True. And then the year before that.
Year before was high scoring. Yes.
Yeah. So, no, and I agree. And that's like why we've been hitting a lot of these primetime unders. I feel still that the market inflates an over in primetime. And that's why I think you've seen market come all the way back down because I think a lot of people realize that was too high of a number. But you're right. It could go over. Like, am I going to sweep 1, 2, and then the props? I don't know. But what I will say is the market has now come down. Like, if the over was so sharp and a lot of people like the over, wouldn't you see it then either stick or go up or maybe just 45.5 kind of stick within that range? We're starting to see 44.5 in the market. So
now you want to keep an eye up until kickoff.
Exactly.
I think if there is no buyback on that over, that's a problem, in my opinion, for an over better. And again, all the more reason I'm just going to sit on the sideline and see if I can get a second half. And then my last point was on the other side of the ball, Jordan Love, being under pressure. A good thing is he's mobile and he can run. Do I expect him to run? Am I playing his rushing yards? Not necessarily, but I did hear a stat that the Packers actually have one of the higher yards per attempt in the league. So they actually are throwing deep.
I love that stat because that's recent since Aaron Jones went out because they've had to.
Okay.
So they aren't getting pushed with Dylan. They aren't getting pushed with Dylan.
Got it.
So what that's done is it's forced Jordan Love. That's why his completion percentage has been crap because he keeps trying to go downfield because there's a lot of 2nd and long, 3rd and long because Dylan has not been efficient in the backfield.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
No, because I saw that too and I was like, it's kind of
I know.
Legit. And then I was like, wait a minute. AJ Dillon's averaging like a yard per carry, not actually, but he has not been efficient in the backfield. So
he's been bad.
And then I have been either on or against, or like I've watched all these Packers games. It's a lot of Jordan Love trying to go deep on 2nd, long, and 3rd.
You want to know something I heard, and maybe you've heard this too. According to Pro Football Focus, do you know that the Packers offensive line, despite missing its starting left guard and left tackle, have actually graded out as one of the best offensive lines in the league? I was really shocked to hear that.
I didn't know that.
The backup, God, I forget the name. I'm sorry.
For Bakhtiari, the backup for him?
Yeah, I believe he's only allowed 1 pressure in the last 55 snaps or something crazy like that. I don't follow Pro Football Focus quite as much, but I hear, when I listen to podcasts or, shit like that, I heard someone say that and this morning, and I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, again, couple reasons. I think the under at the end of the day isn't a bad bet. I'm not as concerned or alarmed. Like the Bucs for me, I didn't like that bet really at all. I thought you were just strictly playing for a backdoor. In my opinion, the under is still a good bet. Clearly, again, you're on the right side of the market. My concern, what I think you're going to need is a lot of field goals. And that very well could happen.
And you know who's been one of the least efficient teams in the red zone all season?
Packers.
Yeah. Like their red zone efficiency is crap.
Yeah.
Like and the Lions have been good in the red zone defensively. So that's kind of why I'm thinking, I think it's going to be touchdowns for the Lions, field goals for the Packers with long methodical drives in here. So let's end on props too, because we don't have you for a ton of time.
Oh yeah, I got to bounce in about 5 minutes too, and I know you got people coming on.
Yeah, you have a couple of props, right? You like Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown.
I do.
I'd love to hear about that.
I've got one. I do like Jared Goff's completions over because of what I had told you. He's very efficient. They don't ask him to do too much, and I think that he's got so much familiarity now with this opponent and the stadium. I like the Lions, and I think Goff is going to get his completions. I don't know what the line is exactly, and I'm not playing it. The one bet I did make is Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown score. I mean,
his last name is Tom. I think that guy might
Zach
be
Tom.
out.
Zach Tom.
Is Zach Tom playing
Tom, that's why
tonight?
the Packers aren't worried about Bakhtiari being out. Okay, yeah, they've been playing really well, which is crazy. But I'll be quick because I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Listen, I have this guy, offensive rookie of the year. I have him on my fantasy team, and the Lions got him at 12. It was a bit of a reach. Anything is a reach now if you're drafting a running back in the first round, not named Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley. But what the Lions did last year in using their running backs, with Swift and Williams, we know Williams had 17 touchdowns. I thought this guy was just going to be honestly, their Aaron Jones. Yeah. And, Campbell's been a little bit vocal about kind of easing him into the offense, and that's fine. We've seen it firsthand. With Montgomery being out, he was I believe, their leader in targets in week 2, which is promising. And then last week he had 17 carries for 80 yards. So that's good. But I think this is their first divisional game on the road, prime time. I mean, if you are trying to save your secret weapon, your Swiss Army knife, whatever, I could be way off on this. But I think this is where you let loose a little bit.
I agree.
And again, you're not asking for Goff too much. You're not trying to go downfield, kill him with a deep threat. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be active. I don't have his yards any which way. Maybe I'm playing it wrong, but I just think he gets in the end zone. And he was plus 140. He was, when I put it in, unfortunately, he was plus 120, and that was the odds-on leader.
So you got the market moving in your direction or against you?
In.
Great.
Yeah.
So that means the bet already hit. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I will be looking for a second half under, depending on what the number is. If we get 17 or less points in the first half, I'll probably be on a second half under if it's 24 and a half or second half over. If it's 23 and a half, 24 or something.
So I want to run my props by you because I have one of the most public props on the board. I mean, what can you do? I play my matchups. And then I find out, I see a bunch of tweets. Everyone's on Sam Laporta. And for good reason. Dejen.
Yes.
The reason I took Sam Laporta, there is one injury that is not being talked about really at all. Everybody's talking about the offensive line, talking about skill positions. Devondre Campbell, one of the better linebackers in the NFL, ranked 19th by PFF among all linebackers, is out of this game. And the reason I like Sam Laporta, and it's funny, Sam Laporta has gone down to 42.5. I'm pretty sure that's what you're going to get him at. So this is a public prop that is moving against me. That is a telltale sign not to tail. But the reason I took it was that linebacker is out, which is big. Second, Jared Goff. And this is another reason I like the Lions. He's 5th in EPA per play since the beginning of last year against zone coverage. 26th against man. The Packers, they play the most zone coverage of any team in the NFL through the first 3 weeks. Goff's number 1 target against zone coverage this season, Sam Laporta. I probably should have gone with his receptions, but when I bet these, not the whole board isn't up. So I just went with his yards. The more I'm thinking about it now, how I'm going to get screwed on this bet is he's going to catch 6 balls for 41 yards. Is how now I'm going to get screwed with it.
I see it. I legitimately see it.
I think he's going to be a focal point of the offense. And then Romeo Doubs, I took his under. And the reason I took his under is because all these skill position guys are going back. And True. Doubs had 73 in his last game. Good for him. But he's never really been in this line. He's normally in the 32.5, 33.5, has one great game. Now he's at 40.5. Now this hasn't moved against me. I still think this is a really good prop. But you got Reed, you got Watson back, you got Aaron Jones back, you got Dillon. So now there's a lot of mouths to feed when there wasn't in the last game where he had his great game. I just think that was an overreaction. So that's why I took his less than and then paired it with Laporta, who now, according to the market, is not going to hit. But if you don't like the Laporta one, then you have to like my Lions and under. You have to. Because logic, if you only like it because of the market, then you have to say I'm sweeping.
I would be a tad concerned about Dobbs, and the only reason it makes a lot of sense that everybody's back, but the only reason I could see it going over is he's the one guy Love has developed some chemistry with, and he might feel a little bit more comfortable.
But it was really just one game.
I thought it was two. I think you should double check that. I think Jones got hurt in the Bears game, and I want to say Watson hasn't really played at all.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's
Dobbs
what I'm
is
saying. So Dobbs in his first game.
Oh, Jaden Reed, that's the other guy.
Yeah, Jaden Reed. That's the guy who he's developing a lot of chemistry with. We have 25 yards, 27 yards, or 26 yards, 30 yards, then 73.
Got it.
And against the Lions, now of course, but he did play last year. He did play last season with obviously the Packers. He had 0 yards against the Lions on January 8th.
Wow.
0.
I think that's my time. I see Sums and Light ask me, are we getting a defensive touchdown tonight? Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if we saw one from the Lions.
I think Jordan Love is really going to struggle tonight.
I do too. And Peter, like I said, I like the Lions more than the under. I think we're not going to see a lot of punts tonight. I really think it's got to be red zone stops. It's got to be Dan Campbell's going to be aggressive. Both teams are going to be aggressive. It's big. It's a big game. It's on prime time. It's a big stage. But we're going to need field goals if you're on that under.
And that's exactly why I like the under, because what I was saying is, like, with two offensive lines that are really banged up and two teams that generate a lot of pressure, if they're in the red zone, it's going to be they hand it off on 1st and goal, smacked.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jared Goff in the outdoors, and you got Jordan Love, who has a bad completion percentage. Miss a play. Now you got 3rd and long, 3rd and goal. Let's see you get in the end zone. That's how I feel it's going to happen, and I think they're going to keep trading field goals. Lions didn't score a touchdown. I don't think Jordan Love is going to generate much offense today.
Yep, I don't think so either. All right, I think that's my time.
We didn't yell at each other.
No. It's not. It doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't need to be forced.
It will only be forced if we generally have a differing opinion.
Yes, and you call me before the stream and we talk for 30 minutes and get the juices flowing.
Exactly. All right, my friend. And we'll see you tomorrow because you got Sunday plays, correct?
I do have Sunday plays. I'll absolutely be on tomorrow.
Hell yeah, my friend. All right, we'll talk
take it easy. Good luck.
All right, so we'll just recap before Gino comes on. He's late. Where is Gino? Let me text him. And Gino said, "Oh, this is where I'm gonna get you." Oh, where is he? Pretty interesting, right, folks? He said he's going to get me. He's on the opposite side. Where is he? Ready for you. Let's do a quick recap. Lions -1.5. And there was a good question in chat earlier. Peter, why would you take the 1.5? At the time when I bet it, right, it was -115. And what I didn't want to do was lay 20 cents more of juice so that it doesn't land on 1. If it lands on 1, I lost the bet, right? I just didn't think that point of value, only losing by 1, was worth it. Now, if I get screwed, I get screwed. But that was at the time. Now that it's at 2.5, I would play it 2. No, I would play it 2.5 because I think the Lions win by 3. I think the Lions win by 3. That's what I would put the line at, right? I would put it at 2.5, and I would take the Lions because I think they would win by 3. So if you're looking at 2.5, I'm sure you could keep shopping. You can get 2. Or you can just take the Lions money line and parlay it with something that you like and what I'm doing. Or take the Lions money line straight. Now with the under, you've seen a lot of market resistance, right? 46, 45.5. Let's just do a quick check and see where this total is right now on BetMGM. So right now on BetMGM, 45 -110. I think I'd still take that. Of course, 46 is that key number. I mean, I also I think it lands on 40. I think it does. I think it might land on 45. I got a 24-21 final. But a 23-21 final also gets the job done in terms of the under 45. But SVP Analytics, he DM'd me and said he has a 60% system. I'd love to see it while we're waiting for Gino. Took the -118 money line yesterday, so WCLV probably ain't hitting. Couldn't agree with you more. What do we got going here? I mean, do you think Love throws 2 touchdowns? I don't. Field goal is first score method. Some slide. I think you're onto something. I like that. Laporta over 42.5. Yeah, I mean, it moved against me, which is not good, especially for a public prop like that. But don't you guys find it interesting that Gino said that he was going to demolish me and now he's nowhere to be found? Producer Cohen, do you find that interesting?
Interesting that he's not on time.
Interesting that Gino is not only not on time, but for a show that he said that he would kill me at. It's interesting.
Just never on time.
I see it at 44 now on Prize Picks. Okay. All right, I moved back up. That means Sam Laporta went over his receiving yards. Or maybe, that better not be Dobbs. Yeah, so Producer Cohen, if you could flash the Prize Picks. Sam Okay, we got 44.5. We got 44.5. Here he is. Here's Gino showing up late. He said he was going to body bag me, and where were you?
I was preparing. I was so
you were preparing. You needed more time.
I needed more time.
All right, let's get straight into all of your plays, which are let's start with the NFL because we're heated, but you got MLB plays. Actually, let's do MLB plays first. We'll go through those and then we'll do NFL. Let's do MLB first. What do you got?
St. Louis, Milwaukee. Dude, I've been making some decent money on unders lately. I got burned on Pittsburgh yesterday. That under did not work out well. We're St. Louis. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure I have the right one up.
We got Dakota Hudson versus Corbin Burns.
So Corbin, the homie, the matchups. Everything we're doing here is based on the DFS unders.
Game is going on right now, Gino.
Oh, so then pull it off.
That. Let me see. What are
we pull it off the show?
Oh, yeah, we'll just have to pull it off the show.
Yeah.
It's coming in a little bit early. It's 2-0 in the fourth.
Not looking bad.
Looking bad.
If you can live bet under 8, take it.
Pete, I have 46,000 channel points, but no rewards. How do we get rewards? Yeah, so we'll take this one off the show. Let's get into your other MLB play.
It's all good, my dude. Dodgers, Colorado over 11.5. I actually avoided this one yesterday. I think a lot of people got burned on that one. God, where's the system? There's a really good system here. Something. Oh my God, I came prepared for football. I don't even want to try and talk out of my ass, but there is a solid system here for a losing team under 500. Something with hosting a team that already locked up the playoffs and division. That's what pointed to the over here, and it pointed to it every game this series. And a lot of good people were on it yesterday, and I avoided it because of the pitching matchups and the individual matchups versus batters. But this one, all the negatives were removed in this game.
Yeah, my ballpark pound model likes it too. They think the Dodgers put up a legit 30 runs. Like they think they are going to destroy Curse Flex, and then they do have a good matchup for him. And then you got Ryan Yarbrough on the other side. A little bit worried about Yarbrough. The thing is, why I don't think he'll pitch well in Coors, his ball floats. You don't want a floating ball in Coors Field. That generally doesn't work out well for you. A pitcher that has done well there and is sort of close to Yarbrough is Kyle Freeland, but he has mastered Coors Field, or at least mastered. It's tough to master Coors Field. But I just put in a Zen, so that means I'm ready to rumble on Thursday Night Football.
I like that. So let's go. Oh, man. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first? You know the play.
No, go ahead. Tell me, because everyone heard why I like the under already.
Yep.
So tell me why you like the over.
Absolutely. Let me rattle. Dude, I don't have my phone with me. I'm at my cousin and aunt's house.
You took all this time and you don't even have
all
any
my
info?
Yeah. I wanted to rattle off the systems for you. So first one with Detroit and Green Bay. So prime time. Goff has an interception, I think, in 9 of his last 12 games.
Okay.
So that was also if you guys want to sub bet something, I didn't give it, but I think Goff is plus money on an interception. So that's number one. I was joking that I hope this is in their red zone and not the other team. So that would hurt and help. 2, I do believe both of these defenses, for the guys that watch Pete every day, I think Pete attacked me. I believe he assaulted me when I said Green Bay had a top 3 NFC defense. They're playing like they do, and I got assaulted, but I actually think they're playing out of their cleats per se. There's a lot of pieces of data, even though their points are playing to top 3. There's a lot of pieces of data about how poor they are against the run that open it up.
Yeah, tell me about those pieces of data, because that's where we were going back and forth here. Because what I like to look at is, I think the best, like, back to regression, you look at EPA per play and you look at success rate.
Yeah.
And the Packers offense is the one, of all the different units on the field, whether it be the Packers offense, Packers defense, Detroit offense, Detroit defense, the Packers offense, by those metrics, which are the best for evaluating regression to the mean, it's the Packers offense that is set to regress the most. When I looked at success rate, pressure rate, and EPA per play, basically
there you go. Sorry.
Basically what it was telling me is that the Lions defense is projected to get better. The Packers go from 8 to about 11, and that's it. Like, there wasn't much in those stats, which I think are the most important, and I look at for all my bets.
Yeah. And then you have players coming back. So I guess the biggest problem, so like the video I made giving out all the systems for the over and for Green Bay, and we'll get into all of that. The biggest gripe with individual systems is there's infinite variables in sports. So if someone can highlight the homie false material, or NFL material, sorry, I read NFL and false material. False, Goff has the largest non-interception streak. You got to listen closer, my dude. I said in 9 of the last 12 primetime games. So whatever streak he has going doesn't apply to primetime. So that's a subset of data. So what I have right here, and again, this goes into another play, I have Green Bay's team total. I have the true line on that at 24. Now, there's not a crazy amount of value between 21.5 and 24. I know there's value. I like it, but it's only a 1-unit play. Everything is about individual matchups, and I genuinely believe the 2 players that Green Bay is getting back is going to help their offense, and I already really like their offense, the second half of New Orleans, and I substantially have New Orleans defense ranked higher than Detroit's.
You love them for putting up 18 against New Orleans?
Just the second half. I know. Again, you're looking at – they put up 0 the first half.
So they didn't look good when they got kicked in the mouth by a first-grade defense.
Yeah, but I have New Orleans defense as substantially better than Detroit's. Not just like kind of better, substantially better.
But when you say you have it substantially better, like what metrics are you looking at? Because I'm looking at New Orleans Saints at 10th in EPA per play and better success rate. So they are a top 10 defense. But then Detroit's at 13.
I'm getting my phone. I've had it with you, Petey. I'm finding my phone.
I'm looking at these are the numbers that I look at.
My wife stole my phone, and I got to find where she hid it. I'm in a freaking zoo with 100.
But again, and just while you're doing that, just so everybody knows, I am not the beacon of truth. My numbers are not perfect. I have found success this season and last season and the season before using these. However, I went 80 and 62 last year. Lost 62 bets. Now, profitable over the long term.
80 and 62 is good, brother.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great year last year. And this year, we're 23 and 11 using these numbers. Now, I could go 23 and 13 losing both of these bets. But what I'm telling you, and I promise, I've been using these for a couple of years, these are the stats I look at when evaluating if defenses and offenses are going to regress to the mean. They're better than what they look at. And I compare it very similarly to expected ERA. Their xERA is basically a flip of xWOBA for hitters, WOBA versus xWOBA. All these different stats, they help you to say, what is the real truth? What do you do to do? And what I'm seeing with the Lions is that they're expected to get a little bit better, and the Packers are expected to get a little bit worse by my numbers. So that's why I really wanted to bring on Gino, because regardless of my numbers, the over could still very well hit.
No, of course. And anything we're saying, guys, nothing's a lock. This is sports. You could have a pick 6.
Anything could happen. The Packers could win 58-0.
Yeah,
the Lions could win 58. We have no idea, but we're gambling.
Let me first defend
not
the Packers play, even though I'm not giving it out. And I connected that. I'm a weird person in that I connect systems, and that's how I raise my units. So 1, Non-playoff team on the road over 500. The Lions check that box. What the hell, for anyone listening, what on earth, why would you care about a non-playoff team over 500 on the road? They're essentially saying a team that's playing better than it is. Now, you could say, no, actually, the Lions are a lot better than they are last year. Again, I'm just going to give you all these systems. That touches Packers lightly. Dog of 4 point or less in conference play, 36.1 units, 12% ROI, 58.8% win rate. That's a second check on Green Bay. I'm going to keep going on Green Bay. Early season division dog, check that. Division dog money line, check that again. 69 units, 18% ROI, 50% ROI. Early season dogs, that one's a little more generic. Early season upsets, very close to that. Underdog between 2 and 4 is actually one of the strongest underdog systems that there is. 21% ROI. So again, I use all of these minuscule systems. You have the home dog and primetime that I actually think is dead. I was texting Pete about that. It's not making money anymore. It hasn't for over a year and a half. And I genuinely believe, because of all of you in a good way, you're all educating yourselves now. We used to throw darts. Me and my friends, when y'all were still in diapers, would be betting, and you would just forget about systems. We didn't have ways to track it. It was all written in a notebook. So you check all these things, right? And you're like, okay, the Packers have a good chance in this game. And then what I show versus all the individual matchups with their 2 players coming back, that one of the best bets is the Packers team total here. Again, not a huge variance, but 24 to 21.5 is pretty big. A lot of room for error. It doesn't seem like it, but there is. So if the Packers are in this game and they're able to score 21.5, I like the over naturally. And on the flip side, instead of me ripping on Detroit, I'm actually saying the opposite. I think Detroit's going to be able to run this damn ball. I think Detroit's going to be able to score. So ironically, I don't have any Packers bets out. I only gave out the over the first half. You can get to that one next. This is my favorite play. I think it is 7-7 after the first quarter. I think it is 14-10 at halftime. Nothing crazy, but this to me and all my systems and models for how it can get there, and looking at both teams, what they've allowed in the first half versus what they've scored in the first half, this one seems the most off to me for free points. I have it as it should be 24. So again, when there's 2 teams, it's a lot more value. And I believe this game can get to the first half over countless ways.
Here's my issue.
7.
Here's my issue.
Yeah.
I think, and you were showing a lot of 57, 58% systems. I have a system on Detroit that since 2012 is 62%. It's you were down and then your next game you lose, and it's 2-0 this season. You were down at halftime, and the reason I like that system is it's very specific. Like, the reason why I have problems with some of your systems and why I think those systems have not been profitable moving forward is they're very generic. It's like division dog. Like, I think you can use that in your capping if you're like, okay, this is how Jordan Love is going to score, and then it strengthens my case because you have all these systems backing. I could give you a ton of systems about how Jared Goff against NFC North opponents is amazing. He's over 80%. He's won a bunch in a row, and that's way over 57%. So it's like, if we're looking at both systems that's conflicting, how do you think Jordan Love is going to move the ball based on what you've seen so far? That's what I'm struggling to understand.
Yeah, and getting back to Watson, I think is a big deal.
But even if he's not 100%,
but the run establishes the pass. He's also getting back a running back. So another thing, again, this is where I stack systems. I have the Jared Goff interception is very fair because of people commenting like, no, he's on a no interception streak. Yeah, but I got very specific. This is primetime. Homeboy throws picks. 9 out of 12 primetime games. That's unheard of.
But it's dating back to his early days with the Rams.
It's the player. Come on, I hear primetime Kirk Cousins all the time, and people bet that blindly and probably stacked on it this whole season.
I don't even know if that's hit for them because the Vikings covered in the last game. That's why it's like, 9 out of 12.
They should have won that game. So again, I have Jordan Love on the over in yards. 237, I think, is the exact number. I have that off by 20 yards. I have him at 257 as my projections. Is 20 yards going to change the game in passing? Doubtful. But I believe, and this goes back to my biggest bet on this game, I actually believe Green Bay, a team that I came on here, and I have no allegiance. I came on here and said Green Bay had a top 3 defense in the NFL. I said that on multiple places and got laughed at. Now they're playing that way, and I'm actually selling them high. I think they've overperformed. I think they've had the fortunate – who they play? Bears, dog shit. They allowed them to score points. Atlanta, I think was, time. Yeah, but Atlanta was the other one?
Yeah, Atlanta ran the ball on them.
And Saints have a great defense. Their offense is So to me, that just tells me a lot that this team has been very fortunate to be as high ranked as they are on defense. And I think this is a game where people see them fold a little bit on defense. And I don't need a lot. I need, again, 23 points from Detroit's offense. That's essentially what I need. 23 points from Detroit's offense.
Well, Gino, I'm 1-0 against you in these debates. Let's see if you make it 1-1.
That tweet was world class, and I would like to keep tracks of that. Like, seriously, I think this show is awesome, and the people you bring on are top notch. I think it would be amazing if we were able to publicly call each other out.
I agree. We should call. I said Jen and I went head to head in our last bout. I was on Bucks. He didn't even bet the Eagles, but
are you on Detroit tonight?
I'm on Detroit, and I'm on the under.
And are you on either one of those more?
One unit on each.
Okay. But like, even though you're going one unit, do you, like, mathematically, they can't be dead even? Which one had a little more value? Not enough to bump it, but just like, which one did your systems like better? I'm just curious. Because I'm the opposite. I like Green Bay a little bit, but I left it out.
It was funny. I thought this should be 2.5 for the Lions and 45 on the under. A point each. So okay, that's why I bet both at a unit. That's why I was like, that's why when you asked that question, I'm like, I like both. But we got to keep moving. But, Gino, I really do appreciate it. And, of course, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow for more Sunday plays.
100%.
Right? Peace out, dog. Ladies and gentlemen, we're rolling here. Who else we got? We got California Wager coming back on. How are you, my friend?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. What do you think about Gino and I back and forth? What side are you on tonight?
I mean, I'm a Packers hater by nature, being a Niners fan, but bias aside, I forgot to text Henry or Will the other stuff. I'm on the over too, so okay. I like the over on this one. I got 44.5, so I do like getting that under the 45, and then I actually teased it as well with another play. So I do feel there's too many ways I feel like that gets the over, and as you can see, I'm on Detroit, so I still think that Detroit gets theirs. I mean, who knows what happens last week without that injury? I mean, 17-0 at halftime, and then, things change quickly. So, it happened. It did happen. Short week. The amount of work that it took to come back, that takes a toll. And the numbers, don't lie to that. It's like 38% or something coming off of that big of a return on a short week. There's just a lot of things working against the Packers tonight. Not to say they can't win. Obviously, the line represents that. But I think that what we've seen with Goff, and this has been, a couple of years now that Detroit has continued to get better. This finally looks like maybe they've put it together. Green Bay, obviously, not the same. This isn't the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Lambeau Field. We're still learning with Jordan Love, and not to say that he's not going to be great, but, still a guy with a real very average completion percentage. I still have a lot of question marks with Green Bay.
Oh, you just cut out there. So we're rocking with the Lions. Do you think the over hits because you think the Lions pour on points, or like because we just have something in here, Cali Wager in the house? How far over? Basically, is he asking? Like you saw, go from 46 to 44.5. Let's say it was still at 46. Is that still a play on the over, or did 44.5 hit your buy point?
I mean, 44.5 for sure did it. 45 would have still done it. I still think it finds a way to get to the high 40s, if not 50s. And that could be Green Bay finally getting something on offense, like Gino's talking about. They are getting a little bit more weaponry back, so that makes a difference. And it's got to be something of a big positive push for the mentality side of how they did come back last week, and playing again at home, that is nice. So. It's not to say that this is – I think the line in terms of where it is seems very right. I think Detroit ends up getting it, and I got it, 1.5. I like that a lot. I think it's a close game. I think that benefits both teams because I think that they're both able to get some. Detroit, obviously, with Goff, has looked really nice with their short-term passing game. He obviously has a decent amount of weapons, and Green Bay is getting a lot back. So I think that with where they're going to continue to improve, which we think Jordan Love will do, I just see there's too many paths for this game to get there.
I see what you're saying. I don't put a ton of stock in guys returning from injuries if on a short week and the practice schedule wasn't great for them. So like they were out last week, then they either didn't practice or were limited, short week, and now they're 100%. Like it's just tough for me to buy into that. Like it's Christian Watson. Like I think a good example was Devin White in that Bucs game. Like Devin White ran through the same kind of thing, made the interception, had a lane to run it back, and then was hobbling. Like was good enough to play, but wasn't 100%. So when I think, okay, they're getting Aaron Jones back this week, if I know the Packers, and I feel like I do from watching them all these years, they're very limited when they use their guys that are returning back from injury. Same thing with Christian Watson. And even with those guys back, are they so prolific? Aaron Jones is when healthy. Christian Watson is when healthy. But if they're not fully healthy, are they going to make that big of an impact in the game? And then when you consider that while they are getting skill position guys back, their offensive line continues to be really banged up. They're without one of their best linebackers, and arguably in Campbell, he might be their best linebacker. Of course, you got Quay Walker. He's good too. But being down a linebacker certainly doesn't help. And with the way that Jared Goff and the Lions have ran their offense, a lot of short passes, methodically moving the ball, I think this is going to be one that kind of soaks clock. But I see what you're saying. It could definitely go over, right? It's not a 5-unit mega max for me. It's just a 1-unit play. You're not concerned, though, with the market moving down because obviously then you bought at the low point, but you're not concerned with that.
I watched the market move the Dinos down to plus 120 last night in Korea, and we hammered them, and they won 18-3. So I don't really let the market dictate what I do.
It's fair.
That to me has kind of gotten out of hand. Like everyone thinks that that's part of being a sharp suddenly. I don't consider myself a sharp. I just consider myself somebody who has my angle and I put in the work the same way. And if it falls, it falls. You know what I mean?
I respect that.
You kind of just got to keep doing the same thing every day. And, that's not going to be successful. And if it's not, hey, then you adapt and learn on the next way, or you kick rocks and move on to the next thing you can succeed at. But yeah, this is a key number. I mean, at the end of the day, getting 44.5 for me is huge. Moving down past that 45 is big. And that's not to say by game time it's not going to go back up. Almost 3 hours still till game time. So that late market money will come in on it. And how many people bet the under, on game day? Very few, I feel like, unless they are somebody who thinks they have a pretty good edge.
That's why people, if you don't see, and he's totally right. So I am expecting it to close at 45.5. If it doesn't, I think we're in a good spot with our under, because if then the books don't respect that late over money coming in, that could be a telltale sign. But Cali Wager, that's it, right? Oh, no, we got two MLB plays. Let's get into MLB. Also, shout out Pandemic for subbing. I appreciate you.
Diamondbacks was earlier today. That was extra play. But I have the Marlins tonight. I love the position they're back in. Hey, there's so much to momentum. Last night I talked about the Mariners. We didn't get it done. But I also talked about the other side with the Padres. And, hey, look what happened. The Giants were there. They blew the lead. They lose in extra innings. I might just be fade central for the Giants till the season ends here. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see what the Marlins have done. It's really fun that they're here, just like the Diamondbacks. I love to see that, these younger teams that finally are getting some flair again back into the organization, some young talent. And I like Miami with the momentum tonight. Luzardo, I like him a lot right now. I think that this momentum carries a lot for a team that's especially, so heavy in youth.
Fair enough. I got nothing to counteract that. But again, guys, remember, once we get Colby on, then I'm going to go through the entire MLB slate and mid-major as well. But so you're on the fish. We're laying the juice on the fish, and that's it, right? Because you had Diamondbacks earlier. How'd they end up doing?
I've not looked back on my scores today. I've been all over the dang place today, so we'll see what happens.
Unfortunately, there's a 3-1 win by the White Sox.
Well, good for the White Sox.
Somehow. I don't know how the White Sox won. Appreciate you, Callie.
Well, exactly.
Again, hopefully the over doesn't hit, but that's just for me selfishly. But let's go
see.
Lions.
Well, what number did you get it at?
46.
Well, hopefully we hit 45 then.
Would be kind of electric. All right, my friend. We'll talk to you.
Take care.
All right, so we got the Colbster coming on. And Colby, you did it again. You just couldn't help yourself, could you?
I mean, I'm confused, P, because you told me to lean into it. I'm leaning into it.
No. Go ahead. You're right. You did catch me because I did tell you to lead into it. I didn't know now that you're actually going to.
Can I add that I am leaning into it responsibly?
Leading into it responsibly. Wow. Okay.
A half unit. We're not selling grandma. We're not selling my apartment, my house.
You're not selling the apartment.
Not selling the apartment yet.
Okay.
I am in a hotel right now, so maybe I did get evicted. Who knows? Coming off of a 5-1 weekend, I might add.
That's true. Facts. Please flash the NFL leaderboard.
We're down a 0.46. That's fine.
We're down 0.46. We're going to make it back.
3 weeks into the season.
3 weeks into the season. What? You're down a little bit of change?
With that.
You're totally chilling. And now you're like, let's put that 0.46 on the Patriots.
Literally. Okay. So very interesting for you to start with this game because it is a half unit play for me. This really is. And
we go half unit to full. Half unit to full. We'll work our way.
That sounds good. I do have a 2-unit play as well. One that I really like. So,
of course.
So to start, this was bought down. Bought down from 7.5 down to 6.5 at -110. I bought it back to the 7 because they really could lose by a touchdown here. This might not hit. It really might not hit. But here's why it will.
Okay.
Cowboys offense is top 10 in EPA per play on dropbacks and rush, but their O-line is super banged up right now going into the week. Like the injury report is super important to this game. Tyron Smith didn't practice today, and that was scheduled, but he's still dealing with a knee injury, and that's concerning. Their center, I'm going to butcher this. Biadaz? I don't know what it is. I think it's Biadaz.
It's Tyler. It's B-I-E-D. It's a mouthful.
And Zach Martin were limited after missing Wednesday practice. So that actually is good in favor of the Cowboys a little bit. I was hoping that they wouldn't practice, but still limited. They're definitely still banged up.
Wishing injury on another team. That's good for you, Colby. I wish they were both in a different country right now and not able to play football.
Exactly. Totally. The Patriots could use this game more than anything. But yeah, this Cowboys offense has been solid, and I'm not saying otherwise, but this offensive line is banged up going into this game. And if you go back to 2021, Pete, when the Patriots were, right in it with the Cowboys, this game went to overtime. They lost by 6. The game went to overtime, 35-29 finish. The Cowboys didn't allow a sack in that game, that entire game. They gave Dak so much time. The running lanes were pretty decent, and obviously the Cowboys scored in that game. But I think in this one, the Patriots defense will be able to get to Dak and also stop the run. Patriots defense ranks top 10 by EPA per play against the rush, 11th against dropback. Christian Gonzalez has been one of the best corners in football. I mean, what a draft pick that looks like. He looks like he is right at home in this Patriots defense. And I think, you give him a few more weeks and Bill might just give him the reins of this defense and be like, you go cover whoever the best receiver is on this other team. I've been so hyped by what I've seen from him this year. But most importantly, the Patriots are going to be able to stop the run in this matchup against this banged up Cowboys offensive line, and they've stopped the rush all season long. I also think that the Patriots are going to have the ability to run the ball on offense for the first time this year. They haven't done it yet. And they gave the ball to Zeke Elliott a bajillion times last week. And I actually think that was, and this might sound counterintuitive to someone, right? Because Zeke Elliott is going back to Dallas to make his homecoming. And you'd be like, oh, revenge game. Zeke Elliott's getting the ball a million times. I don't think so. I actually think that going into this matchup, Bill Belichick had this one circled with the Cowboys defense ranked 17th in EPA per rush and last in rushing success rate against on defense, allowing a 50% success rate against the rush this season. So I actually think that they were resting Ramondre last week, and like they're going to come out and really try to establish the run this week and keep this game close. So I don't know if the Patriots win this game. They probably do not, but I think that they can keep it within a field goal or 6 here. Another like interesting storyline, Pete, is the Patriots signed Will Grier last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Will Grier went through training camp with the Cowboys. So kind of a interesting mind games from Bill Belichick, which you always love to see. But again, half unit.
It is 7 points. It's a lot of points. It's just you have Mac Jones as your quarterback, and it has been a grind for this team to score all season long, and now they're going up against the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't even come down to Mac. It comes down to a single receiver getting a bit of space. Like there's nobody
Mac's
on
really
this
good.
offense. Oh, he's not really good, but there's just nobody open. Like it's hard to score points when Kendrick Bourne is your best receiver. It's not a good way to play football. Yeah.
We got a lot of plays. Let's go to play number 2.
We do. Yeah. Let's speed it up. This one's super. A lot of these actually will get quicker. This one's pretty simple. I think that this one will play out similarly to the way that the Jets Cowboys game did. And I might be wrong on this one because there's a ton of money on the Chiefs. And now this line went from 9.5 down to 8.5. And this might've been recently, like in the last hour. So not really sure how to look at this one, but I think it plays out similarly to that Cowboys game. The Jets defense has surprisingly not been elite
Amazing.
so far this season.
No.
Like 20th in
because they're on the field for so long, and that's going to kill you.
Yep. Exactly. And this Chiefs offense really hasn't gotten rolling totally. I know they put up a ton of points against the Bears, but putting up a ton of points against the Bears isn't like, that crazy when they're giving you short fields. But I think that Zach Wilson will be able to give the Chiefs short fields in this one, and they can, this total is so low, and I know you're on the under.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this might just be one again where the Jets score 7 points, 6 points, 10 points. I don't know. And it's 23-10 and I covers, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from in this one.
It's good to
again, half unit on this one. Unit on this one.
Play number 3. We get the under tonight.
I see eye to eye with you on this one, Pete. The more I dove into this one, I really see eye to eye. First of all, I didn't see your explanation earlier on stream, so I'm stop me if I'm repeating what you said, really.
Yeah.
But pretty simple. Comes down to the Lions getting pressure without the blitz. They rank in the top 10 in pressure rate, but in the bottom 5 in blitz rate. They can also stop the run at a high level. And Jordan Love, he ranks in the top 5 in EPA per play, but also bottom 5 in completion percentage over expected. So they've had the explosive plays. I don't think they're going to be able to get those explosive plays tonight. And Jordan Love is going to have to nitpick a Lions defense. I don't think that's really going to work out for them. I don't think that the Packers are just going to be able to drive down the field. They also, Christian Watson and Aaron Jones, both nursing hamstring injuries. I don't think they're going to be 100%. They're probably going to be on workload restrictions if I had to guess. So
I would say so too.
That's really like the Lions defense, Green Bay Packers offense breakdown, right? Green Bay Packers defense isn't elite, but it's certainly solid. They get pressure and they blitz at really opportune times, which with Jared Goff on the road, especially in Green Bay, that's like dollar signs in my head. I mean, Jared Goff at home, 40 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Jared Goff on the road, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I mean, it's pretty clear that he's really good at home in the dome. And then you go into Green Bay, really tough spot. So Green Bay defense, though, 14th in EPA, 8th in pressure rate. So I think these are both like really solid defenses, and some injuries on offensive side for both teams. Prime time under. Give it to me.
We're aligned. Let's go to play number. Well, we got Bengals. Nope. Denver versus Chicago first half over. This is interesting. Why?
Isn't this a gross game? Holy God, is this a gross game?
Yeah, you're going to have to watch it now. At least just for half.
Worst two defenses in football, really. They're so far. They played like it. Worst two defenses in dropback EPA per play, bottom 3 in pressure rate. I think finally this is the game, finally this is a spot for both teams to kind of put some points on the board and make themselves feel good. Like finally, maybe Justin Fields won't get pressured within 2 milliseconds and actually will be able to get outside the pocket, make some plays on his feet, like really get that momentum going that he's been talking about. And it's just kind of a bounce back spot for both teams. Like the Broncos coming off of a 70-point beatdown. the Bears coming off of a 40-point beat down. I'm also in Chicago this weekend, so it felt like good juju was on my side.
Why?
I really do like this.
Why
play.
first half and not?
First, I think they just come out strong, and I just wanted to isolate that. Just coming out first half strong. That's really my feeling there. That was more of the gut feeling.
Fair enough. And then we got the 2-unit play.
I don't really have a long explanation on this one, Pete, but I freaking love this game. Desmond Ridder, and I've talked to you about this all week. I do not think Desmond Ridder is that guy. Many people don't, but he has shown that he is one of the bottom quarterbacks in football right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons go away from him very soon, especially if he does not show up on Sunday, which I don't think he's going to. Now he goes on the road to London, which is a long travel day, but also the Jaguars fans show out in London. Like they've been going there for a while. Like I think that's like low-key a home game for them now. But what's been happening to this Falcons defense is they just stack the box. I mean, Falcons offense, sorry. Defenses just stack the box against them. They're going to stop Bijan. They're going to stop Algier. And the Jags can definitely stack the box. So I think that they won't be able to. They rank third in rush EPA per play on defense. They haven't given up a lot of runs so far this season, and I think they'll be able to do the same against the Falcons. Prove to me Desmond Ridder can throw the ball against me. Like if Desmond Ridder puts up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, and I lose this bet, great. Like I don't think that's going to happen. But I also I think I'm kind of buying this Jaguars offense at the bottom of the market. I don't think that they can be as poor as they have been going forward. I don't really think they have been that poor. I think they've been just a little bit unlucky, like early season variance. They rank in the top 10 in drop back success rate, Pete, but 29th in drop back EPA. So like that doesn't seem sustainable, right? If you're having success dropping back and Trevor Lawrence is throwing the football, but you're 29th in drop back EPA, that just means you haven't had those big plays yet. They've struggled on third down as well. So I think this is like one of those spots where I'm just buying them at the bottom of their market. They come out hot in London and kind of kick the teeth into this Falcons team that doesn't really have any offense.
It's a good pitch. I mean, I like this Jags play. The first half over, I think you're just getting cute. I mean, it might just hit, but I would take these defenses slowing down in the second half as well. Patriots, shit ain't hitting. Chiefs, it's a little bit scary because you get the better defense at home getting points. But at the same time, I don't think Zach Wilson is going to be able to do anything because I think the Chiefs defense is elite. That's why previewing it tomorrow, I took the under 43 in that game. It's good to see the market moving with me. I took that. That was my first bet I made on Tuesday. I just bet the under 43. I mean, yeah, it's just like this should not be in the 40s, I thought. I just like this should be a 39.5 type game. It's just you have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and it's Sunday night football, and people are going to bet the over. Yeah. So I think it's a pretty good card. Patriots not hitting. Chiefs, we'll see. Jags, I like the play a lot, especially these favorites in London have been printing. And then I like this under as well. So I think it's a good card.
Yeah, man. I mean, and again, this is all about unit management. Like Jaguars, I really love that play. 2.2 units on that one. Patriots and the Chiefs, obviously a little bit of a scarier games for me, but I do lean those games and I want to play them, but only a half unit. So just a little advice for everybody out there. Don't go crazy on every play.
Colbert, appreciate the time, my friend. And have fun in Chicago, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, man. I'm a best man. I got to give a best man speech this weekend. How crazy is that? So wish me luck on that. But yeah, you enjoy your weekend. We'll enjoy some football and hopefully more winners to come. But good luck tonight. Should be a good game tonight.
Let's hope for a low scoring Lions win. That'd be electric.
Sounds good, brother. Good luck. Have a good
All right,
weekend.
my friend. Talk to you.
Adios.
W. Colby. And now we end. Peter keeps saying Patriots not hitting makes me want to play them. Yeah, I'm more just talking shit to Colby because he bets the Patriots every week. I actually don't have a lean on that play at all. Mid-major, Matt. You told me, I remember I was saying I lean the Lions. Remember yesterday, and you said you lean the Packers. Did you get to the window on those Packers?
I have not yet. Primetime games, I usually wait as long as possible to place my bet. It's just there's so much information out there. It's so hard to read what's gonna happen. So I want to make sure I see as much as possible before I get to the window. I am close to getting in the window. On the first half over 22.5 on BetMGM.
Okay.
I know there are concerns, obviously, with injured players, what they're going to perform like. My thought is if Aaron Jones and Christian Watson were going to play well for any period of time, it would be early before their injuries. If they are going to affect the rate of play, to linger into the second half, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then again, the Packers defense played phenomenal in the second half versus the Saints and Jameis Winston, albeit, but they played with a lot of intensity. So perhaps on a short week, they don't come out with enough rest and they get a little tired. So I'm close to getting to the window on the first half over. I've yet to do so, though.
But wouldn't that defense then get tired in the second half?
I'm sorry?
You said exerting a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think then if they exerted a lot of that energy in the first half in this game on that short week that then they would slow down in the second half?
4 year under, yes, that narrative makes a lot of sense.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying I'm based on what you just said. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. In my mind, I think with the ability for the Packers coaching staff to scheme around the game plan they see for the Lions is I like that from what I've seen. They shut down the Saints last week again. Read the comments. Go ahead.
No, I'm just if this means anything to y'all, Anders Carlson over 6.5 kicking points just moved from -145 to +110. I don't know.
Less field goals and more touchdowns. So
could be.
Yeah, that's all it means for the Packers.
That kicker prop means the over is smacking. Maybe then we hammer the over.
That is the sharpest line on book. So thank you, Something Slight. I will get to the window now.
Let's talk about your actual plays.
Yeah, it's just I have one prize pick and I have one baseball play. Nothing NFL yet for me on the stream. Somehow I'm down 5 units. I gotta contact the accountant on Just Baseball because that does not seem right. But here we are.
We are always here to be fact checked, and we always change it. You just got to audit us.
I shall be doing so behind the scenes, but I digress. So Aaron Jones, I mean, first off, we just fucking need him to do something today, Peter, for our season long. We need him to get some receiving yards. Unfortunately, he was out 2 weeks, but more so in LaFleur's career, even before he got to Rodgers, because Rodgers just called whatever fucking play he wanted. He loves utilizing running backs out of the backfield, whether in just getting them in space, because he knows it's an entire mismatch, whether against the safety with the physicality they have, or the speed, or against the linebacker and the athleticism. This mismatch there. With Aaron Jones, I think he's the best Packers player on the roster. Offensive player, I don't know about the defense. Offensive player, bar none, in my opinion. Even with a healthy Christian Watson, everybody else healthy. He is the catalyst that makes the Packers offense go. We saw it in week 1. Albeit again against the Bears defense, which is fucking terrible. They weren't doing much until they started giving Aaron Jones the ball. That's when he hurt his fucking hamstring, but still. I think for Jordan Love to get some confidence, because I think DJen mentioned it, somehow, some way, the Packers and Jordan Love are averaging the longest yards per attempt, which doesn't make sense when you don't have a lot of rapport with the receiving staff and Jordan Love. So I think to get him going nice and easy, you see Aaron Jones mismatch, a couple screens, and a couple dump-offs to get some drives going. So I really like this play. Aaron Jones is just a dog. His ability with the ball in his hands is phenomenal. So I like him matched up against this Lions linebacking core.
And then Dean Kramer.
It's fucking Dean Kramer, brother. This guy just knows how to pitch, even though his stats say he can't pitch. He's also facing the Boston Red Sox, who are eliminated from the AL wildcard, and they've shown it because they've stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah.
It's clear in the way they've played. Their approach at the plate has been fucking terrible. I'm sorry, Colby, if you're listening. Your team sucks. I don't think they get 3 more wins to hit their season win total over either. Honestly, it's going to be a rough beat if that loses. And I don't think they get there. I think there's only 4 or 5 games left.
Yeah.
Don't think they get there.
Well, because I think Colby's got a lot of units, and I'm fairly positive it's 77.5 for him, and they are at 76 wins.
So they need 2 more wins. He's playing the Orioles today, or I think for the series, and I think it's either 3 or 4 game series. I'm not sure which exactly. That's a rough matchup, man. Especially when the Red Sox they're a dead fish. They've done nothing at the plate. And Kramer, even though he has not performed extremely well this year, I like the way his line set up today. It's you and I talked about Bieber yesterday. He hasn't looked great recently, but Bieber's lines were pretty telling that he was going to pitch well yesterday, and he pitched really well.
He did.
And I see the same thing for Dean Kramer today. We have a total that is at 7.5. It was at 7.5 juice to the over. It's now juice to the under with two offenses in the Boston Red Sox and the Orioles. So I like Dean Kramer to pitch really well.
Kind of disagree with you.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can talk about fastball, which the Red Sox suck at hitting. You can talk about cutters, which the Red Sox are average at best at hitting. You can talk about the sinker, which the Red Sox are terrible at hitting.
No.
Okay?
I'm not.
No, I know.
Sorry. No, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you about Dean Kramer. I actually think the Orioles hit Sale. I think you know how you said the juice it went to the under on the total. That's more what I was saying because that just stuck into my mind.
Well, look at my fucking play.
Boston first 5 under 2.5, 3 units at plus 220. You are going for it.
I have to. I bet it was in the comments. I told everyone to bet the Yankees to make the playoffs. They started losing. They lost like 2 games, and I fucking faded them, and they've been kicking my dick in ever since. But Garrett Cole owned me yesterday. It is what it is. This seems like a game to where, if you know, Peter, I'm not sure the year or if the Orioles ever have, this will be the 100th win of the season for the Baltimore Orioles if they win tonight. That's a lot of pressure.
99 and 59, yep.
That's a lot of pressure
for
a young Orioles offense.
They don't give a fuck.
You sure?
No. That narrative, they're not looking at, they have 3 games. I don't think they care about
because
they can
clinch the AL East and win 100 games today if they beat Chris Sale and the Boston Red Sox. That's a lot of pressure, in my opinion. That's obviously that's subjective. I think it's a lot.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're sitting in the locker room right now being like, shit. This next win is 100. Like if I was playing baseball, and granted, I'm sitting here behind a desk talking about them.
Yeah.
I would not give a fuck. I am just trying to look at Chris Sale, seeing what he throws, and trying to hit. Because then if that's what you think, then you think they are going to fold in the playoffs. Like you think they have no mental fortitude. Because if they're feeling pressure just to win their 100th game, which doesn't really matter in hindsight, then get into playoff time, then you think they're going to fold based on that logic. Because then you think they're mentally weak.
It's not necessarily correlated. When was the last time the Baltimore Orioles won 100 games?
I don't think Adley, who's a new Oriole, and Gunnar, who's a new Oriole, and all these young guys, they give a shit about what the 2008 Orioles did.
But perhaps the ownership does. Perhaps management.
And they're not on the field.
They're preaching about it. I guarantee you they're talking about it.
Are they going into the locker room being like, we have to win 100 games today?
Not that they have to, but it's on the horizon. It's an absolute realistic. It's a reality that they haven't faced perhaps ever in their existence.
So why are you taking Boston money line? There's so much pressure on them.
Why would I back those bats? They fucking suck. Well, I just talked about it. Don't give a fuck. But also the Orioles, they've actually not hit lefties so well, and as we all know, the Orioles, the best platoon splitting team in the league, in the majors. And Chris Sale has absolutely dominated right-handed hitters on the road this year. So also we talked about it yesterday. It went under the Baltimore and the G-Rod versus Patrick Corbin game, which you called. I was on the over. But we saw one of the worst fastballs in the league yesterday in Patrick Corbin. We saw one of the worst flat-out sliders in the league in Patrick Corbin. And the Orioles did good versus them. Not great. So seeing that level of competition jump to Chris Sale's velocity, his ability, his delivery, and his extension is a lot different going back-to-back games. So I think we see a very boring game very early on.
Fair enough. I wouldn't take this. Perfectly honest with you.
Well, I mean, it's fucking plus 220, so you got to have some nuts, Peter.
No, but I wouldn't take the under at all, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I actually lean towards the over. I would go against the market here. I think
the
Orioles,
I will tell you?
Because what I do know is that the Orioles, they hit Chris Sale very well. And again, this division game where there's a very familiar matchup here. I mean, Orioles bat's got a 304 average, 338 xWOBA is perfectly good, 491 x slug. But the thing is that's funny is the Red Sox have never hit Kramer. So
he's just one of those guys, man. But I will say that's all I have. It was at plus 220 when I got it. It's now at plus 200, under 2.5. So I'm
Market
moving
mover.
fucking markets. I'm
Market
the
mover.
only bet on that line, so they had to adjust.
They're like, wait, did we just get it? What is this? Everyone, like their entire handle, but they were like, wait a minute. They're telling the trade desk, we have one bet on the first 500, 2.5. All right,
they had to
I
adjust it. Yeah, for my 1,300 followers on Twitter, they had to adjust it for my reach. But that's all I have for today. I love the NFL banter. It is such a good time of the year. And MLB playoffs is going to be phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Can't wait to get it back up and started for that.
For those people who
but
actually
don't you feel though in this like last week that it's the flukiest baseball of the year?
That's what I'm going on. Is earlier today. So a lot of pitchers is Wheeler, Burns, Sonny Gray will all pitch in today. Sonny Gray got pulled early after Lopez got pulled early. Yeah. And the Minnesota Twins, they announced yesterday, within their organization, there were reports out there that they were Game 1 started was going to be Pablo Lopez. Game 2 started was going to be Sonny Gray in their playoff series starting on Tuesday. They pulled their pitchers early, and nobody saw that. Now's the time of year, if you're betting on the Phillies specifically for today, Wheeler's not going to pitch deep. Did you see how many innings Burns pitched today?
No, we've been streaming while the game's being played.
4 innings, 60-something pitches. So they're saving him for the wild card series. So if you're still betting MLB this weekend, do a lot of research. There's a lot of playoff teams set in the wild card series that are game planning around those pitchers and the pitching staff. You're not going to see a minus 250 favorite throw all their best arms out there trying to win a meaningless game for them that doesn't do anything. So just be aware of that if you're still betting the MLB, which I'm trying to do today.
Fair enough, my friend. Well, I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon. We'll be texting after the Lions beat the Packers. 34-0 is my final score prediction. That's what my model at least spit out. They said 34-0, and mid-major Matt's in piss because he's a Packers fan. That's what it said. The model literally said mid-major Matt in piss because the Packers stink.
What's the name of your model? What kind of statistics do you use? Do you factor in your model?
I mean, I'd have to kill you if I told you.
I don't know if you
Very
move markets
secretive.
like I do. I move markets. That's pretty confirmed on this show.
That's true. You went it down 20 cents.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you. All right, ladies and gents, you want to go through the MLB board? Who's left? Do we want to go through the MLB board? We got through all of our people, and I'll go through the MLB board if we want to. But I got to hear some chatter. And I really like how everybody's been commenting on all the plays. Yes, of course. Yes, Pete. Let's do it. Producer Cohen, can we pull up the BetMGM odds? I'm going to run you through it. Remember, and I just want to be clear, I'm not betting any of these games, right? Like yesterday, I think the leans, we went over every game. I think the leans did pretty well. But again, these are leans. This is just what I would bet if I was back into this market, but this is the flukiest time for baseball. Like literally nothing makes sense right now. Betting MLB playoffs, of course, when it gets back to the MLB playoffs, we're right back in the thick of it. I'll say it twice. I'll say it. Betting baseball is better than betting NFL weeks 1 through 6. It's funny. I think betting early NFL I think there's holes in the market. That's why we're 23-11. Now we could go 23-13 and miss both props, but then we're still positive on the year, right? Peter, you think Jones will be primarily used as a receiver tonight? I could definitely see it. But let's talk baseball. So, again, this Pirates-Phillies game, I don't even want to give you a lean. I have no idea what Wheeler's going to do. Luis Ortiz is terrible, but that total at 8 makes me want to bet the over. It does. And the reason being is I don't think Wheeler's going to go long, and I think you're going to get less than quality bullpen arms out of the Phillies bullpen. Not their best. And Luis Ortiz is not any good. So it was at 7.5. It's gone up to 8. I would lean the over there. I would. First 500 Phillies, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates can hit Wheeler. 8.5 down to 8 juiced heavy. Okay, that's why, don't bet on that Phillies-Pirates game. Let's just be clear. I have not looked at the open 9, actually. Don't bet on. But again, that's what I'm saying here, folks, is that to move the market on an MLB total on a Thursday with all these football games, it takes one big bet. So market movers in this market in particular don't really scare me. They don't, right? Because if they did at this time, we'd all be doing really, really well. I think the books are having a hard time setting these totals. I could not agree with you more. I would still lean the over here. But I think it could be a first 5 under and then it trickles over. Red Sox, Orioles, I lean the same. I lean the over. What I do know is that the Orioles bats hit Chris Sale. They do. They always have. That's been a consistent thing. Chris Sale worse on the road. And I'm looking at an Orioles team that's faced him 171 times in terms of plate appearances, and their advanced stats are good. Now, on the flip side, you have Kramer in 63 plate appearances against the Red Sox current roster. Red Sox hitters are hitting 377. 377. Alex Verdugo, 7 for 19. Rafael Devers, 6 for 16. That's kind of it. You got Justin Turner, 2 for 5. You got Yoshida, 3 for 5. Adam Duvall, 2 for 2. Ref Snyder, 2 for 2. 7.5 would be too low for me. 7.5 would be too low for me. I would bet the over. However, I'm not. But that's where I would lean. Yankees, Jays. I mean, what are we going to do here? Right? What are we going to do here? We got Chris Bassett better at home. And if I'm not mistaken, again, double check your work. I don't remember the Yankees. Yep, and I was right. I was about to say I don't remember the Yankees ever hitting Chris Bassett, and they never have. 234 average, 242 WOBA, 251 expected WOBA. That's incredibly good. I think Chris Bassett has always done really well against Yankees. Why does he do well against the Yankees? Because Chris Bassett plays with your emotions. That's what he does. He'll go in, he'll go out. He's very methodical. The Yankees don't often do well against pitchers like that. And he's dominated them through 50 plate appearances. Now, Luke Weaver on the other side with the Yankees, like, Blue Jays faced him once, pillaged him. I have no idea what we're going to get from them. Blue Jays need this win. Yankees don't, but they want to play spoiler here. Value's on the Yanks, but it's not. It's a no bet for me. And then next game, we got Marlins taking on the Mets. Can you go to all wagers and look at props? I want to see what the books think Luzardo is going to do tonight, because that total makes me think Luzardo pitches really well. All you got to go. So you go to players, top left. Players. Luzardo juice towards the over on Ks, as is David Peterson. Interesting. Go to earn runs. Outs. Okay, so they're not expected to go long. My initial lean is Luzardo dominates. Dominates. I don't know how to play that then. Another division game. Let's look at how Luzardo has done against the Mets. It's exactly what I thought it would be. 158 batting average against in 46 plate appearances. 295 WOBA, 331 X WOBA. But again, Peterson has dominated the Marlins too. I don't mind a first 5 under in this spot at all. Don't mind it one bit. All right, let's keep going through the rest of the games. 4 at -110. I would love the hook. I still don't think that's a bad bet there. Let's keep it moving. Keep it moving. I don't know, what do we do with this game, folks? We got Stroman as a dog against Smith-Shawver. Smith-Shawver has not been good, and they're calling him up for a spot start here because the Braves don't need this game. However, the Cubs just it's almost like the Cubs are tying their shoelaces together and then trying to walk. It's not been good. But I ain't betting this game. That over, you expect runs in this game. Let's see how Stroman's done against the Braves. He's done okay. 286 average, 371 XWOBA, but 564 expected slug. It's not good. It's really not good. 92 miles an hour average exit velo. I think the Braves go to work here. I don't know how to play that though. See, you're getting into my thought process when I'm actually looking at the board, right? And Ballpark Pal, nothing really. Well, they see value on the Braves actually, which is interesting to me. No bet. I don't even have a lean. My lean in this game is the Braves hitting Stroman. So maybe you could take Braves first 5. But again, the Cubs have been coming out hot and then losing. And I would really want to target that Cubs bullpen because it's in dire situations right now. No Adbert Alzolay. And they keep getting used so much. I don't think the Braves team total is that bad of a bet. High total, it's going to be a pricey total. It's no bet for me. Rockies, Dodgers, I agree with Gino. I think this game soars. And I think it's really on the backs of the Dodgers. I think Flexen is such a good matchup for this Dodgers lineup. And Yarborough, I just don't know how he's going to throw in Coors because what we do know is that the Rockies, they just can't hit a lefty no matter where they are. I would lean the over. Honestly, that 2.5 is speaking to me at plus 100. Because I think that even if Yarborough doesn't pitch that great, they can still cover this. And then if he does pitch well, they win by 6. If you want a plus money price on 2.5, I don't hate it. Especially on the road, you guarantee 9 ABs from the Dodgers bats. Don't hate that at all. And then you just get more Rockies crap in the bullpen. Rangers, Mariners. I mean, I'm just sitting here praying for a Mariners dub. But this is our last game on the board. And the Mariners have been, that was my feeling. Mariners have been dominated by Jordan Montgomery. 155 batting average against. 323 xWOBA. Mariners in a bad spot here. But at the same time, Gilbert has done really well against the Rangers. Pull up the props before we say goodbye on these pitchers. What are we looking at here? Yeah, we go to players. Huh. Okay. Similar. Earn runs. Huh. Gilbert. That's a bad sign. Outs. That's a bad sign. As much as I hate to say it, I would lean the Rangers, especially at a plus money when we know Jordan Montgomery. But, I mean, this could be a game where the Rangers, you know what? If you were going to play the Rangers, go to the first 5 innings. What's the money line? First 5 innings money line. -1. Yeah, that's a good bet. Because you don't really want to deal with the Rangers bullpen. That's a good bet. Rangers hit lefties well. I mean, Gilbert's a righty. They hit everybody well. But they have success against Gilbert, and that line is kind of saying something. I would go with the Rangers first 5 money line as a best bet in this game. Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, because I really want the Mariners to hit our win total. And if you have the win total, I don't mind betting the Rangers in the spot at all. It's kind of my favorite on the board so far. Shit. I really want the Mariners to win. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. I think this is a fun stream, right? We go over a little bit of everything. We have some debates here and there. Everybody enjoy Thursday Night Football. Should be a blast. What time does it start? Remember, if we sweep the board, we need you all front and center tomorrow when we do a $50 giveaway to 2 different people. All right, ladies and gents? Show some support, right? Remember, give us a follow on this Twitch channel if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it. You good stream, very good stream. Appreciate you, Peter. Appreciate you guys for listening, and be back tomorrow. All right, everyone's going to bring on their Sunday plays, right? So you're going to get the full Friday MLB slate, full Sunday NFL slate, and I'll go through the entire board again. But we just have to remember. I mean, producer Cohen, we have to remember. It's not even gambling advice. Peace, everybody. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.